Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. Our charity of the month is Veganuary, and there are several ways in which you can help them and help me help them help the animals. First, make a donation to our fundraiser here on Twitch. We just have 10 British pounds as our goal. Very modest goal, so please donate if you can. But if you can't, just watch my streams this month and bring your friends, because I'll be making my own donation at the end of the month based on my Twitch unique viewers count. You can also visit their website. I've put a link in the chat. There's a link on my Twitch description, and if you're watching this as a recording on YouTube, there should be a link in the description there as well. It is Friday, which means it's time for Chibi Friday, and I'm starting a new Chibi project. It's another gift. It's going to be my birthday present to my sister. She's sometimes here in the chat as Satuita. She requested a Chibi caricature of her pet kitty, Tiger. She sent me a huge album full of adorable photos, but I chose my favorite, which is he's looking up and meowing up at the camera, and it's extremely cute. I've done one like this before for my cat Kiki. This one will be a little bit different because that one Kiki was sitting. In this one, Tiger is standing. You can't see his feet at all. It's just the body with a head, and his tail I'm going to have to use my imagination and make informed decision based on the other images of his tail I've seen and have access to. So what I'm going to use is this Strathmore mixed media paper. I used this last time. I have been doing these on a different Strathmore paper that was square, but I used that up, so we're going to use this one up until it's gone, and then I have even more paper like this. Then just keep using it all up. I have a huge paper stash, so these Chibis are great if for no other reason than to use up this tons and tons of great, awesome paper I have. I mean, look at this 400 series. Best. This is the best paper that Strathmore has to offer. So I am going to start with a sketch. Since I'm going to do the entire piece all on the same paper, I'm going to use my favorite graphite pencil. It's the Dobutsu no Mori. Let's see, I don't know what her name is in Japanese. In English, it's Celeste, the owl who comes and gives you astrological recipes. In previous games, you could make constellations with her and stuff. That was really fun. But this pencil, I always like to show it off. It's so cool because if you spin it, the shooting stars move across the scene. The only thing is it doesn't have an eraser. That's its only weak point. Otherwise, it's adorable. It's my favorite size, 0.5 millimeters. Yep. So that's what I'm going to use for this sketch. Get out a sheet of paper. I won't draw in this pattern. Just get the sheet out. I'll get my little clipboard. So I'll just set this here for now. Get my clipboard out of my closet. Remember last time with Steve the Otter, this clipboard is just barely the perfect size. Perfect size for this paper. Look at that. It fits super. Like, it's amazing. Alright, I gotta move my lamp a little bit. I can't see my own screen. I need to see my secondary monitor over here so that I can see OBS and also my reference image, which I cannot see. Maybe I gotta lift it up. Yeah, I think I gotta lift it up. Oh, it looks so much darker. It looks so much darker this way. Also, I guess my main camera is just confused. Okay, I'm gonna try. Oh, I turned it off. Try this. So this one is over like next to me, but this one is up above. Hopefully this will balance out. This main camera will balance out after a while. It keeps getting so dark. Don't be so dark. It's like, but there's a very bright light in there. Oh, I bumped it. It doesn't like these really bright streaks. That's why it gets so dark, because it's like, no, I must balance it out. And it's like, no, it's not bright enough. Exie is here. Hello! Exie, how are you? So glad to see you as always. Hope you had a great week. Looking forward to a fun weekend, or at least some relaxing time off. I hope so. Yay, so glad to see you. I don't know if you heard all my big intro, but I'm working on a new Chibi kitty. So I'm actually just going to dive right in. Let's bring the camera closer. So let's start drawing Chibi Tiger. I'm actually going to draw him at this angle so that he fits nicely. Let me zoom in on my reference image too. So his head, take up his head, maybe this amount of space. Nice big round head for the Chibi. I'm going to try not to draw too hard so that I don't make an indelible line on the paper. Oh, no relaxing weekend for you, Exie. Your name color changed. I wonder why. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Well, hopefully at least right now while we're together you can have a little bit of relaxation or some fun. Ooh. That sounds imposing. I feel like I shouldn't ask you too much about it, but I am curious. Oh, yeah. It does match nicely. It's all pink all across. Very nice. Yeah, it does. It makes you look elite, having all that matching all across. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good, all that pink. And then that little touch of purple in the middle, though. Okay, so we're going to add Tiger's body now. He's actually a bit of a roundy boy in real life. He's roundy kitty. And I can't actually see his tail, but based on his face, I think it's probably a happy curly tail. It actually looks like it's going to be wrapping around my sister's leg in this photo, and so that's why you can't see his tail, so I'll just make it cute. And his tail is very similar to Kiki's tail too, my cat, so I also have my experience with her to inform my decisions here, even though I can't see it. I think I can make a good approximation what his tail should look like. I'm already drawing a little too hard, so I'm going to get my kneaded eraser out. Ah, therapy session 2. Well, hopefully that will be healing for you. That's sort of a good thing, even though I hope it's a good thing. Sounds like a good thing to me to have a therapy session. I don't know what kind of therapy it is, but I just had a session with my mental health counselor earlier this week. To be honest, I have been feeling really down about the world, but she helped remind me of some of my core values and some of the things that help support me, so it was definitely a worthwhile session, and I'm feeling much better. But it's too bad you can't get that much rest. Hopefully it'll make up for it. Whatever the therapy session is, hopefully it will make up for not being able to get that much rest. It's not good to chronically be always busy. I know that because I lived that for about a decade and it was pretty bad. I always talk about it too because it's just so incredible, and I realize that this year is actually 10 years since I finally broke free from that way of living. So 10 years of that way of living and 10 years of not that way of living, and it's so much better. Oh, maybe you just heard it. My washer is done. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Make sure everyone is fine. That sounds like a lot of responsibility. That's pretty cool, though. I gotta say, that's a pretty cool job to have. And probably stressful, but That's really cool. No fave song you missed. I always think of that. I always think of you when my washer goes off. I'm like, oh, fave song. Oh, talk therapy. Okay, so that sounds just like what I had. Yeah. Mine isn't always relaxing because sometimes I have a lot of unloading to do. So instead of relaxing, it's more like very stressful in the moment. But then afterward, I feel so much better because I unloaded all of that stuff, all of my worries and everything. So yeah, I hope that is nice for you. I'm wishing you the best for that. Oh, Sarah's here too. Hello. Wow, we're having a party today. Friday party. Woo! Sarah's laying down. I'm laying down for for a nap. For a nap. Okay. Well, hopefully if you need the sleep, you can get some nice rest. But if you just need the hangouts, we're here. Autocorrect gone wild with nonsense. I'm having a good time with this Chibi already, so I don't know how relaxing my stream will be, because I know I get really into it sometimes, and I'm aware that I'm not... I've been so honored every time anyone calls me like the Bob Ross of streamers or something like that, and that is the greatest compliment I've ever received. But I'm definitely not always Bob Ross. Sometimes I'm just otaku girl and full of energy. Full of energy and excitement. Especially when I'm working on something fun like this. So I'm adding his ears on. That look pretty good. Maybe this one could be a little longer. Oh, actually he's been seeing a therapist for 10 weeks. That's good. That's good if you've had that long of a relationship, because I found that the longer you can get along and keep working, the easier the therapy is, because, for instance, with my counselor, who I saw for the first time this week, the first time in over a year, but we were just able to pick right back up where we left off. She remembered all of the things from before, so unlike having to start with a new counselor or therapist, and then you have to start from the beginning and explain everything from the beginning, to have someone who gets to know you is so valuable. Okay. Got the ears in. Might want to use my ruler a little bit for placing the nose. Because what I'm trying to do, in fact, I think this ear is a little too far forward. So I'm seeing this angle, but then his head is on this angle. Oh, it's okay because you won't have the volume loud. Okay, good. Then I will be as energetic as ever. Well, I would have done anyway, but... So yeah, actually this ear should be farther forward. So I used my straight edge here, held it up on my reference image, which is on my screen over here. Actually, this ear is farther forward, so we need to change this one. It's too far forward. Oh yeah, it makes sense. 6 weeks until you felt safe to really open up. Oh, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that. It's really important to me. I am a huge advocate for mental health. It's even something in my novel I'm working on. I just want it to make a normal thing in the world. My novel is not about a mental health challenge or anything, but I just want it to feel like in this world, it's just a normal part of healthcare. So even though that's not what my story is about, there are elements of it in there. Because I think so many people still feel stigma around it, and maybe are treated, stigmatized about it. But with mental health, you can have better physical health, because if you can't take care of yourself physically because your mental health is suffering, you know. Oh, your dogs are way more intense than what I'm doing. Okay, good. Good. I do want my streams to be chill. Even if sometimes there's moments of excitement, I hope the overall vibe is chill, because that's what I'm going for. I want this to be a nice place for people to come and relax if they want. Or if we want to have a lively conversation, that's cool too. Okay, I'm adding the outside part of his ear now. It's not until I draw like this, I realize the camera's not all the way on the picture. When I draw like this is when I really feel the three-dimensionality of cat ears, because growing up, like so many other kids, I would just draw a triangle and that's a cat ear, and it's just this flat thing on the paper. But actually cat ears are three-dimensional. They curve in. They're more like cones on their head that are, the cone is just open on one side. I really feel that when I'm drawing a cat from a reference image. Aha! Thanks to y'all chatting with me, my little auto messages that I set up are working. I'm not very good at nor very into promoting myself, and yet I do want to grow as a professional. I want to grow my career. So I realized, oh, I can set up the chat bot to do it. But I found out with the Streamlabs, it won't chat until someone else, it can't be me. It won't do an auto chat until someone else has chatted. So thank you for kicking that off for me. It's hard to hype yourself up to strangers. Yeah, like it doesn't feel natural to me. It's even, and it's not the case where I've heard people say like, oh, I'm just not good at it. I think that if I had to do it, I could do it, and I could be energetic, I could speak eloquently and enthusiastically and all this other stuff, but to me, I would like it to be more natural. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just not natural for me to every few minutes say, oh, go check out my Patreon, go check out my Square Shop, go check out my this and that. So I'm letting the bot do it. It's too bad though. The Streamlabs has the ability to name the bot. So right now it's just Streamlabs. You could name it, and I've done in the messages say that it's, because it says woof woof, so it's supposed to be Ranger. Studio Mikarts mascot Ranger, who is a Shiba Inu with an unnatural coloring. But it would be cool to name the bot Ranger, but it was gonna be way too expensive. I think it was like, I don't know, $100 a year or something. It was way too expensive for just, all I wanted was to be able to name the bot. It was way too much money, so I just tried when I crafted the messages to make it clear that it's a character. That it's our little Ranger. Not your Ranger though, Sarah. Not your kitty Ranger. Okay, just cleaning up as I go. Getting more and more lines finalized. I'm so glad my past self thought to have Friday be Chibi Friday so that it would be fun and relaxing and a break from what I had been working on until that point in the week. Because I'm really feeling that right now. I'm really feeling the break aspect of it. So this week I've been doing a lot. My My cognitive bar is really drained this week. I've been doing a lot of really good work, but it's exhausting. So working on something like this, where all I have to do is look at a reference image and then draw it in the cute style that I've developed over decades. It's a very nice way to cool down from this week of work. I love how cat hair in their ears grows like a shield, like a screen. Because it is. It's supposed to be, well, at least I assume. I don't know what Mother Nature was thinking, but it seems to me it's meant to prevent stuff from flying into their ears. Okay, now, what I said I was going to do a while ago, the nosy, so it's about halfway across the face, and we're going to do, so the angle is actually not straight across, it's more like this. So let's see, halfway point would be about here, and then this is the angle, and the nosy will be right about here. But the nosy is not the farthest down thing, because the way he's meowing, you can actually see his bottom jaw sticking out. It's quite cute. It's a very cute picture. I might be making the nose too big though for a chibi. Let's make it smaller. Make it smaller. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, Exy! I watched the first 2 Dune movies. The new ones, I mean. I can't remember which stuff you said you watched, but my husband wanted to watch it for his birthday, so we did that, and it's like my new favorite thing, so I'm super excited to tell you that I watched those. And now I really want to read the original books and see what they're like compared to this. What did I think? It was so good. I don't want to do any spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, because it is so good that, like, I told my sister who I'm drawing this picture for that she should watch it. But man, the combination of the way they told the story, they really did the show not tell, which is like the basic rule in storytelling, show don't tell. And then it's clear that they took things that must have taken lots of long description in the books and just boom, fit it all into a single image, and you can just see everything in a moment, like the picture is worth 1,000 words type of thing. And then the music is just spectacular. Of course, Hans Zimmer is one of my favorite composers, so it makes sense that it would be awesome. And then the different interactions between the different factions and the different characters. Yeah, I'm honestly a bit jaded about new media, new movies or anything, because so often I am recommended something and the person like genuinely loves it. They really think I'll love it, but then it's a question of what they love versus what I love, and it's not overlapping as much as they expect, and so I don't love the thing. This is one of those rare occasions where it's like, oh man, this is so good, I'm so glad I watched this. Very rare these days for me. It's just, I think I'm partially jaded, partially it's just my preferences have become very refined, so it's hard for stuff to squeak in and meet my standards. But this hit all the marks. The character design, the overall the color palette and the textures and everything. It was beautiful. Okay, gotta zoom in more on Tiger's face so I can see his mouth better. And actually, his cheeks are a little more pointy than what I've done. So I'm gonna point them out a little bit more. Oh yeah, that's good. And with his little teeny tiny mushroom nose, it's very cute. It's already very cute. And he doesn't even have any eyes or a real body or anything. Yep, so good. I can't remember what you said before. Did you say you liked the series that was made, like, in between? Because there's a third movie coming out, but there's already a series out or something, but it's based in this same version of Dune, if I remember correctly. Did you say you liked that one even better? I haven't watched that yet. It's on my list now. I don't know where I can watch it, actually. Honestly, I'm not really seeing anything really distinct inside of Tiger's mouth here. Just like a cute pink mouth with some areas that are shaded, so I'll just leave it open. Like, I don't see his teeth or a tongue or anything from this angle, so just leave it like that. Oh, you only watch movies, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen the older ones or anything either. Though, my sister, this commission sister, I believe she said she tried to watch the older movies and she found them very dull and boring. So, I don't know. I do remember from when I was a kid, Dune was always on my radar as a thing that a fantasy nerd would like ever since I was a kid, because I think my dad had the movies on VHS, but I never watched them. But I think next on my list is I really want to read the novels, see what they're like. But to start, I actually am reading a completely different set of novels. I started reading the first Earthsea novel because same sister, Satoita, thought that I would really like them because we spent like 2 hours the other day just talking books. So we actually had a copy of the first Earthsea novel here. So like, well, may as well start that, and I don't have to go find one. Don't have to go to the library or anything, it's just right here. So far, I like that. It's well written and easy to follow, and the world is being really well created, so I feel like it's a world. I think I'm also jaded in my books, too, because I've been really disappointed by a lot of... Either they look really nice, like the cover is so well designed that I feel like, wow, they wouldn't put this much effort in such a great cover if the book wasn't awesome, and then it's like full of typos and everything. I'm like, what? All the editing team worked on the cover instead of the book inside. Or it's an older one and people love it, but then it's full of, we'll say, social issues because it is older, and I'm not a fan of that, so... I'm also jaded in my book selection. The book's preferences. So even though fantasy is my favorite genre, I haven't been reading that much fantasy. I don't know officially what Dune is categorized as, but it really seems like a fantasy to me. It is a space fantasy. It's all the hallmarks of a classic high fantasy. It just takes place in outer space. This side of his head is sticking out farther, but it's also rounder. Okay. I drop my utensils a lot, but when I drop a eraser and eraser, it's okay. Because it doesn't make a mark on the page. Making good time. At this rate, I might be able to start on the... I'm zooming out into his body. I might be able to start on the inking before break time because his body is just like a long sausage. It's got a long sausage body because he's a chunky boy. He actually just recovered from some severe liver trouble. So it's also nice to draw him knowing that he's all better now. Let's see, I'm actually going to go over to the photo album that my sister sent me so I can take a look at his tail from a different picture. So I'm not looking at chat right now because I'm in a different tab on Firefox. That big snort was Aoife. Just a big snort. Tiger, let me see what your beautiful tail looks like. Oh, this is perfect. It's a picture of him from behind. Oh yeah, it looks just like Kiki's tail. Like if you took this tail, maybe it's a little longer than Kiki's. It seems like Tiger's bigger than Kiki. But as far as the shape and the type of fur and the pattern of fur, it looks just like Kiki's tail. Which is great because then I can use a little bit more of my imagination / memory. So I'll look at that picture again when I'm ready to add the stripes. So now all we need is his eyes. Zoom back in. I still love having the cordless mouse so that I can do stuff like this. Makes this workflow so much smoother. Okay, so we're going to use his ears as a reference for the line. I'm going to draw his eyes to rest on. Move down a bit. Right about there. And I'm actually going to turn it over so I can draw his eyes straight. Let's see, the inside corner kind of follows the inside corner of the ear. So, the inside corner of the eye. I mean, something like that, and something like that. Of course, these are going to be chibi eyes, so they'll be bigger. Dang it, main camera, you're so... this is really bothering me. I'm going to fix this. What if I turn it off and on again? Will it work? I'll just go into configure video. Take it off of... No, it doesn't like it. I'll take it off of auto exposure. Whoa, that's way too bright. Alright, we'll leave it off of auto exposure for now. Hopefully this will do. Not so much better. I don't want it so dark. There we go. So chibi eyes is definitely going to be a little bit closer to each other than in real life because it's just taking up way more space on the head. Yeah, I think I'll make them lower than that though. That's why it's nice to just draw a circle first. We could see what the overall placement looks like without putting too much effort into the specifics of the eye. I'm going to swipe this stuff in the trash. There we go. Just realized the little camera wasn't really looking at anything very interesting. Fixed it. Okay. So let's move these lines down. Like here. Oh yeah, that's much cuter. It's much more Chibi baby-like. I realized a long time ago is what makes Chibis cute is that they have the same attributes as human babies, with big heads, big eyes, smooth, simple features. And it works with animals too. So we humans like that. That's I think why cats and dogs have become some of our favorite animals, because they look like they actually look like furry babies. Big eyes, big heads. Does look a little bit creepy though, also. But we shall add the detailed eyes, and I think it'll start looking more cute. I'm pulling the graphite up, so then it makes it easier when it's not too much dark. It's just something about it is easier for me to focus on. Yep, they are furry babies. They definitely are in my house. And I have the feather babies too. My two pigeons are my flying feather babies. Okay, let's look at Tiger. Let's look at Tiger. So I'm going to turn it back the way the photo is oriented, so that I can use the photo for reference for the shape of his eyes. Cats in general have the same shape eyes, but they, just like humans, have slight differences depending on the individual. That's part of the reason why it's so important for me to have photo reference to do a caricature of a specific person. Because it won't look like them if I can't see what they look like with their unique features. Aoife's snoozing again. Okay, let's pull some of this up. I think what it does, pulling up the graphite when I think to do it, it gives me room for more sketchy lines, but with graphite eventually, and with ink or anything else, eventually there's so many sketchy lines that it just looked like a big patch of graphite instead of something more specific. This side. So on this side he's got his eyelashes covering his eye, but on this side they're all moving upwards, so it doesn't have that. Let's have a little bit of a pointy corner. There's the inside and then the outside. It's got this black outline on his eyes. Like most cats, when you draw them as they look angry. But if you know cat behavior and you see this whole body, you can see the whole body language is very happy. In this photo, he already has gigantic pupils, which is perfect for the baby thing. Chibi baby, having the huge pupils makes it look cute too. up a little bit, see what the overall effect is. Wish my camera didn't shake so much when I erase. I think what happened, it didn't used to do that, at least I don't think so. I moved my big heavy slicer, paper slicer, so that I could fit this bigger dog bed over here under this desk next to me for Aoife. So now there's not that big heavy board helping stabilize this table. This table has just got two tube legs, kind of like U's. So it's not very stable, and that's why it shakes so much now. Without that big heavy thing leaning on it on one side, there's nothing to keep it still. But I'm just a cheap basic streamer, so this is the best I've got. Oh, I think he's looking really good. I think I'm ready to start inking, which is great because it's what I was hoping. We still have about 20 minutes left before break time. Okay, I will leave out my erasers and things. I'm going to put, I don't think I need the ruler anymore, and I don't think I need my graphite pencil anymore. And next I'm going to use my lovely Sakura Micron pen collection. Actually, I'll put it over here so it's in the secondary camera. Alright. I think I'll start with my usual. What was I doing? Was I doing an 8? Or was I doing the biggest one? For the outside. For the outside border. I'm trying to get that back in there. It doesn't want to go in. I'm going to look at some of my older ones. Actually, I have a pile of them at the ready because I want to eventually go through and remember to put my copyright stamp on the back with all the information about when it was finished and stuff. I think that one. Oh, this one's upside down. Oh yeah, this one looks like I used the one. This one looks like a combo with the 1 and maybe the 8. Okay. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna use the big old giant graphic 1 Sakura Pigma. I guess I called this pen set microns, but microns are actually the smaller ones. There's also graphic. So it's better if I call it my Pigma pen set. Lots of alliteration in there. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, I've definitely been using this one. It looks right now that it's on the page. Aoife's still snoring. Yeah. Yay! Outline complete. Oh, looks good. Next I want to do a pretty heavy line around the back of the head to help give distance so that the head appears, hopefully, much higher above the body, since it should be if he had such a big head. So I'm going to use my 12. Hopefully that's not too close in size. Okay, just a little smaller, which is what I wanted. Okay, now I'm going to move down to the 10. These two are new sizes to me. I only just remembered. I bought them last year and I didn't remember until months later that I had them. I'm going to use this for the next level down on his neck, because it's farther away, so we'll make it a little bit smaller. And then the inside parts, I want to be thinner lines anyway, so we've got this balance between the ears are probably the closest thing to the viewer, but also it's inside this outline area, so we want the line to be smaller. I always wonder if I'm explaining stuff like that in a way that makes any sense, but hopefully it does, because on the spot that's the best explanation I've got. The logic works in my brain. Alright, this inside part I want to be a little bit more delicate because the cat ears are very thin. So I'm going to go down to the 808. And I think we'll use the 08 for the rest of the facial features as well. I think I'll save the fur though. The fur I'll make smaller, other than that, which is directly interacting with the eyes. That way it can be a little more fine. Now it seems Chappie's having a dream too. Once the dreams are over, you're done making their hoof hoof noises. Definitely gonna need to refine the lines around the eyes, but for now, that's good enough until I erase. So for the fur, I think I'll go 2 steps down. Skip the 5 and go to 03. Oh, good night, Exie. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's always so great to hear from you. Hope everything goes well this weekend. Sweet dreams. long protective hairs inside the ear. Alright, I think everything has been inked for at least the first round. Come back and refine and add. But it looks like a good start so far when I look at my monitor over here. See it very small. So first I shall erase with my kneaded eraser. I always like to start with this if I remember, because it's gentler on the paper and I can use it to get any smudges that I might have made with my hand. So when you sketch with graphite, it often will get on your side of your hand, and then it can get transferred to other areas on the paper. I was taught good craftsmanship in my high school art classes, and I have never forgotten that, and it's always served me well. And I like the results I get when I practice good craftsmanship, so that's the number one reason to do it. Okay, I'm going to go to a plastic eraser now. Put my kneaded eraser away because we don't need it anymore. Haha, we don't need it. We won't be needing it anymore today. That sentence works with two different versions of the word needing. Whoop. Pop that away. And now I'll just use my favorite teeny tiny itty bitty Tombow mono eraser. What is it? It's called the Ultrafine 2.3 millimeter Tombow Mono Zero Elastomer Eraser. I'm going to use this for areas like right here in the mouth. I'm seeing some really stuck on graphite. Might not be able to get it all, but I'll try. I'm looking for anywhere else like that. Any other places where the graphite is being really stubborn. I've got jokes today. They sometimes come out. It's interesting, I chose the humor. It's called Engaging Humor. It's kind of like a class. It's called a pathway for Toastmasters. So I'm in the middle of that, and I did my icebreaker speech, which is the first speech you give for any pathway in Toastmasters. It's just to introduce yourself. It can be anything. It can just be a story. It could be, why are you joining Toastmasters? Anything. Well, I didn't expect, even though I was on the humor pathway, I didn't expect that so many jokes would end up in my speech. I didn't go out of my way to add them, but everybody thought it was really funny and they really liked my jokes. So that made me feel pretty good. I never thought of myself as a funny person. I find things funny and I laugh really hard when I do, so I feel like I have a good sense of humor, but it's never felt like a skill I have or anything. But that gives me hope, because I have not actually gotten to the assignment of a humorous speech yet. I'm still in the very beginning of the pathway. I've only done 2 speeches so far. Got all those eraser bits off. He's looking quite good, I think. So this is the official orientation of the drawing. It looks good this way too, which is a good sign. If it looks good even if you turn it around or reverse it, then that's a good sign. Okay. There's just a little bit here that I feel like could maybe come off more, but it doesn't really want to. Now, that's the goodest, the best I can do. Oh, Ranger's in the chat again. I wish I could make it say Ranger. That would be so much better than Streamlabs. It's too expensive, and I'm already spending so much every year for just sort of maintenance costs, like a cloud backup service in case something physically happens to my computer, or my Adobe, well, it's Adobe Creative Cloud subscription and other stuff like that. So another $100 or something bucks just to name a chatbot is way too much. There's definitely other things that I would spend that money on. Okay, I don't need my erasers anymore. I'm gonna put them away. How are we on time? Just a few minutes left until break time. So I will just work on a little bit of details, adding details. The little cleft in the bottom of his nose. I'm also trying to smooth out some lines. Some of the lines ended up a little less curved than I'd like. Yeah, I think for the pupils, I'm going to fill in the pupils. But for the black outline around his eye, I'm seeing a lot of variety. I'm seeing lighter and darker. It's not just pure black like the pupil is. Needs to be bigger compared to the other one. Oh, it's better. So I think the 05 is finally going to have its time to shine. I want to refine the outline. Wow, I am having a lot of rhyming happening. I'm going to refine the outline with 5, which is going to shine. The outline of the eyes is what I was getting at before I distracted myself with my unexpected rhyming. Alright, it's been an hour since I started the stream, so that means it's break time. So I am going to leave my drawing like this, put my be right back sign on. I encourage everyone else to also get up and stretch if you can, look at something in the distance, or get some water and a snack. I will be back. I'm going to put my be right back sign and be back in about 5 minutes. Hello everyone, welcome back, and Sarah, sorry about that. I realized that my microphone was over by my desktop PC. So that's why it was really loud, because the microphone was nowhere near me and it didn't notice. So that's why that happened. So sorry if you were about to fall asleep or something and then you're all startled like, what the heck? I usually notice, but I just didn't notice at all because I was so excited to start this Chibi. I'm gonna have to put a warning on my YouTube upload saying, warning, first half of the video is very quiet. So thanks for letting me know that, because I wouldn't have known that when I uploaded it to YouTube after this. So that's very helpful. Okay. Yes, thank you. I do watch my streams after the fact, so I want to make sure everything is how I expect it to be and that it's sounding good, but I don't watch them before I upload it. I just, boom, start it uploading as soon as I'm done. Tiger, your little face is not on my screen. It was covered up by OBS. It's hard to tell exactly how the folds on its ear on this side are going, so I'll just leave it like that. Zoom out. You know, I haven't done his whiskers, and even though his whiskers are white, I need to do them with black because the background is white, so we can't see him otherwise. So, let's see. Let's have his whiskers coming out. Some are more curvy than others. Whee! There's definitely some way shorter ones down by his open mouth. I always like to include some that are crossing over. I feel like it looks more natural that way because we do have layers of whiskers happening. So add some crossover whiskers here and there. But I also think it's important not to go overboard with that because then they'll just look like there's way too many whiskers. Let's call that good. That looks fairly balanced while still seeming organic. Although I kind of just want to put one more right there. Let me see. No, let's not overdo it. Let's not overdo it. Okay, what's next? Oh, he has some whiskers. Well, I guess I could do those with white. Okay. He has the whiskers coming out of the eyebrows, the equivalent of eyebrows. But I'll just do that with white ink because his fur is dark on his forehead, so the white will be able to work. Because all his whiskers are white. We needed to do them in black just so they could be seen on this picture. was looking back and forth between the reference image and my drawing. I'll see if there's anywhere else I want to add. I guess around his nose there's that little upswing. I didn't actually draw that. That's pretty good. I think everything else, though, maybe I can do a little bit more refinement of the lines around the eyes. But all in all, I think everything else needs to be done with color. Is this outside part of this eye? Okay. I said okay, but then I thought that this line needs a little bit more. I always do that. I think it's good. And my eye roves across the page and finds another spot. Another spot to work on. Okay, for real. For real, let's call it good for the ink until I sign it at the end. So I'm putting my pen set away. I'm done with my sketch kit. Next, I'm going to do markers. So I don't need too much extra room for that. Unlike the colored pencils where I got to clear my desk to fit them. So a little swatch book. Put him like this. Actually, I gotta flip him over because that clip is in my way. Oh, there's still a little piece of eraser stuff on here. So I'm going to start as always with the lightest color, which is his white fur, which is relegated to the front half of his body, even the front fourth of his body. Like so many animals' fur, it's a more warm kind of white. So my two warmer whites, well, grays, is toner gray and warm gray. Seems like warm gray is a little too warm. At least using this picture as a reference, which I have done, so may as well continue. So let's do toner gray. And I'll start with 0. I'll get everything out to start from 0 to 4. Toner 0 to 4. Which ends up being 5 markers. So we'll definitely start with this lightest one. So yeah, the way he is, I don't think we'd see any of the white fur here because it would be covered by his ginormous head. So all the white is basically going to be on his face. So there's certain areas that I want to keep the native, natural white color of the paper. Okay, that's good. Start layering on darker and darker. I think I'll still use the bigger end. Okay, now I think we're getting small enough to move to the bullet tip. I'm also going to zoom in on this picture so you can see more of these details. Trying to spot where the darker patches are, which is relatively subtle. So overall it just looks like a bunch of white fur. Yeah, I think I didn't even need all the way to 4 because this is seeming dark enough. There's just a couple little areas, I think mostly down on his mouth here, where there's enough shadow to warrant this 3, but then maybe this side of his face. Maybe around this eye here. back to the 2. Make a little bit of this 3 more subtle and a better transition from 2 to 3. Yep, I think that's good. So what's the next darkest color? He has tan on him. And it shows up in his stripes on his tabby body, but it really shows up on his face, especially around his eyes and on his ears. It's kind of a yellowish tan. Something like this actually looks perfect. And maybe we'll go through this range right here. So at the very least, I'll get these 3. E51, 53, and 55. In order to get this tabby color to work, I'm going to put this tan all over the whole body, and then we'll build up the darker black fur on top of that. Now for the next darkest looking brown tan. which there's not that much. Not that much. Maybe around the edge of the ears. Well, this marker is pretty dry. It's hardly making a difference. Ugh. One of these days I just need to sit down and test all my markers and refill them as needed. Because continually discovering on the fly that they are basically out of ink is very inconvenient. Okay, next let's do his nose and mouth. Very, very pink. They are like bubblegum pink. Yeah, I think they're definitely more in the range of the red violet pinks. Thinking maybe this light pink plus this tender pink, but maybe that's a little too vibrant. But I don't know, I think it looks good. I'm just gonna go for it. RV 21 and 13. Since these are such tiny spaces, I'm going to give it a minute to dry because I do want some distinct shadow lines. If I put it on before it's fully dry, it will merge and mingle and become a nice soft gradient, which actually I don't want in this case. You can tell by touching it if the paper still feels cool, then there's probably still a lot of moisture in there. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's enough for now. There's definitely more I want to put in there, but it's such a small space I could actually just use colored pencil later when I go to that step. So now I guess we could work on the eyes, which are green. Let's see, are they more this? I think they're more yellow-green. Yeah. This looks a lot closer. As usual, I'm looking back and forth. I'm drawn to this group. Yeah, I think I'll go with this group. So we've got yellow, green, 21, 23, and 25. And the ink really wants to bleed today, so for these smaller areas, instead of dragging the tip across the paper, I'm tapping it to try to prevent more ink from smudging. Tapping also is nice because then I can add a little texture to the eye if I don't fill it in all the way. Interesting texture on the iris. Could go darker, but for how small the space is, I think I'll do like I'm planning for the nose and mouth, and leave the rest of the iris for colored pencil and white pen, or white ink. So next, while we're at it, let's just work on these dark outlines. I noticed they have, yeah, we'll do warm gray. I noticed that they have a little bit of variation. It's not just a single black color. So let's try warm gray 5 through 8 to start. And it's so small that might be too big of a range to even fit, but we'll just see. And I'm thinking I might use warm gray for the rest of his fur too, since he's got the tan fur mixed in with a really dark black or extremely dark brown. Warm gray seems like the best match. Purposefully bringing the dark gray outside of this outline that I've created. Because it's mixed in with the fur a little bit, so it's not 100% contained. It's kind of going out beyond his eyes. I think this one might be dry. I'm going to use the margin a little bit. No, it's not dry. It's just not making that big of a difference. Well, at least I could tell putting it in the margin. This eye is darker than this one because the light's coming from this direction. Since the head is round, the head itself is casting more shadow on this eye. So I think I'm going to have to go even darker. Get the 9 and 10 out for the eye on this side. Do that. Maybe we'll just go straight to the 10. Okay, that's good there. Woo, look at this big group of markers we've got. Looks really nice with the pink and the brown and the green. Okay, I think that means it's time to start adding more gray for the rest of his fur. So that's pretty much all the colors. So like so many tabby cats, he actually has a long dark stripe, and then the stripy spotty pattern comes on the sides of him. But I'll start on his head. So warm gray 5. Let me test it to see, is this too dark? Actually, I think that's good. Probably going to add a lot of colored pencil on here too to get the fur. There's so much intermingling fur colors. So I'm just looking up and down from my page to my reference photo, and little section by section adding color where it seems right. seeing something that I left out with the ink. I don't want to forget. This ear has little... In fact, I'll use a larger pen. It's little fuzzies coming off of the tip, which most cats have, and I expected them to be on here, but I didn't actually draw them, so I'm going to add them now. Most cats have this little tuft of fur coming out. I added way more than what he actually has. I got too excited about it. I'll add some here, even though they'll probably get obscured once the markers lay down. There. Alright, back to his fur. Well, coloring his fur with the marker. I guess that's still his fur. Either way. Chappy heaving a sigh just then. Okay, moving on to his body. Oops, zoomed in instead of out on the reference image. There we go. Okay, like I said, he's just got a big black stripe down the back of him. And then there's a sort of, it's not exactly stripy, it's like a spotty stripy happening going down his sides. I'm not trying to imitate the pattern as I see it, I'm just trying to get the same idea of that kind of pattern. That's pretty good. We'll keep adding on too. Alright, so now I have to go to a different reference image to see his tail, which is just so crazy how close it is to Kiki's tail. Looks just like Kiki's tail. So that stripe sort of continues down his back, but then we could get actual stripes on the tail here. And then a black tip. Now it's starting to look more and more like him. It still looks like a calico cat right now, but he's a tabby cat with white patches. So let's move on to our next darker color. I can leave this and go back to my Twitch tab so I can see chat. Yeah. Verily. Stripy cats are actually very complicated. Yep. So they've actually got it's a camouflage pattern, so they have all kinds of different shapes to help them blend into different shadows and shady areas. And then each cat is unique too. They don't all have the same pattern. That's why it's so important to have a full body reference photo. I can't just have the head of a cat and then make up the body. The body will not look like that individual. Or if it does, that would be a miracle. I guess there's a chance. Statistically, I suppose there's a chance. Probability. An infinite probability drive from Hitchhiker's Guide. Here I'm going to do little spots. Since it's the very, very thin, well, not thin, but very short fur on the ears right there. Just keep building it up. It's going to look more and more like him. We'll have to pick up with the markers later next week, because I'm definitely not going to be able to finish the markers today. There's only about 5 minutes left. Stream time. I think the stripy cats are even more complicated because they also have, on a single strand of fur, could have multiple colors. Slowly starting to look more and more like him though. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of my cognitive bar, my cognitive energy to do this, but it is so satisfying. The more lines you put down and little dots, and it just starts coming together more and more. Also, I get a lot of neck muscle work because my head keeps going back and forth, back and forth. Oh yeah, she will probably be just as much work if I ever get the opportunity to Chibify her. The tabby ones, the brindle dogs, the tortoise shell cats. Not complaining or anything, but it's just a lot of work to get their nice, beautiful coats depicted correctly, or at least the way I want. Let's not say correctly because it's art, so it could be whatever, but the way I want takes a lot of work. Once again, right here, I'm just sort of trying to get the idea of the pattern instead of focusing on trying to get his exact stripes and spots how they are. Okay, let's move on Still got 3 minutes, so let's just move on to a darker color. And the darker the color you get to, the less area there is to apply it. So the workload lightens. It's not like each marker has the same amount of work you have to put in. I don't know if you can hear that, but Eve is snoring away. I think I'm going to come in with a lighter gray marker next to fill in some of these areas where I haven't touched and they're still too light, but to add the dark grays that I've already used would be a little too much, I think. So let's try let's see, we've gone all the way to 7. Let's try the warm 3. Let's go 2 steps down. As overall, his body is very dark. There is this sense of the tan fur being part of it, but it's much more subtle than what is being depicted so far. So we still have that pigment in the paper, the tan pigment, but now I'm covering it, especially on his body, covering it all up with this lighter warm gray marker. This is definitely having the effect that I hoped, so excellent. Oh, but it's time to call it quits for today and this week. We are exactly at time. So, I guess I'll give you one last close-up look. And I haven't done a close-up close-up look yet. So here is Chibi Tiger from today's session, starting from nothing. So this is pretty good. We'll definitely be able to finish him next session, without a doubt. So that's all for today. And all for this week, because it's Friday. Hooray! So there's only a few of us today, so I'm not going to raid. Let's just go chill out and relax. I am going to be back next week at the same times as usual, Wednesday through Friday. On Wednesday, I'll be coming back with illustration, picking up on the... Well, I'll think about it. I still need to think about it. I might be continuing Fafnir, but I might finish him over the weekend so that I can get him out as Patreon rewards on Tuesday. So we'll see. But I'll be back with illustration either way next Wednesday. I hope to see you then, but even if not, let me wish you a wonderful rest of your day and an excellent weekend. Thank you for watching.